Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your man, Small Guy Promotions, Donnell Taylor, aka Small Guy Promotions, coming to you live on March 25th with What's Up Omaha, featuring my guest of the week, Justin Pensive Gilbreath. Man, how you doing today, Justin?
Good, man. How about you?
Man, I'm good. I'm feeling better, getting some of this ick out of my chest, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been like going on for over a week, so I've never been like dealing with anything this long.
It's that time of year.
Yeah, man.
It's that time of year.
It's crazy. Allergies. And they said that like I hadn't called in like 5 years, like to my full-time job. And like I had to call in last Monday, and while I was home I was watching the news, and there was a story that came up that was like, due to climate change, allergies are lasting longer and like are more severe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm just like, come on,
fantastic
man.
news.
Like, yeah,
fantastic news.
So yeah, it was a week on Thursday that I've been dealing with this. It first started. So,
oh man.
But other than that, man, I'm great. I had one of our events yesterday, so it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
You said you had an event yesterday?
Yeah.
Where?
One of the expos at the Croc Center.
Oh yeah. How'd it go?
It was pretty good. You know, we had Arts for All was there.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Awesome.
We had an okay turnout. It was kind of slow. I think maybe the weather turns people away, but then you had the March Madness and some other events going on too.
Yeah.
So
Always competing.
always, man.
Every
That's what it is.
event.
That's what it is. I remember when I first started, I used to try to schedule around things, and I just decided that I'm just gonna do it. And I do it because there's always something going on. So whatever.
Yep.
But, so those of you who don't know, Justin is like a multi-talented dude, a guy that I really respect locally. Just so many different things. I'm going to talk about not only like the art aspect that he brings to the table, but also like small Omaha. People always say small world, and I personally say small Omaha because there's so many different ways that you can connect with people. So let me tell you how we connected. We connected through the scene, through Gooseneck Productions.
Yep. Music, hip hop.
Yep, music, hip hop scene. What's up, Lon? How you doing, sir? But small Omaha, when I was putting on an event with Gooseneck Productions, we were doing a dance battle competition, and
I didn't dance.
but his nephew, Joey.
He dances.
Yeah.
He dances.
So his mom contacted me, Melissa,
Yep.
you know, and it's so funny. Melissa and I were going back and forth, and then we started talking, and she said, she said, I saw that you posted something with it was a guy who used to go to Papillion. I can't remember who it was. And she's like, how do you know him? I'm like, I used to go to Papillion.
Yeah.
And she's like, I used to go to Papillion. and then she's like, yeah, I went to La Vista Junior High, and it turns out that she actually dated my best friend Ray back in junior high.
That's a trip. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
God, this
small
city is
Omaha,
small.
man. Like
It
it's so many.
is.
Like, and shoot, we have known each other. It's probably been like 5 years now.
Probably.
Like, 'cause I started
Yeah.
my business in 2013.
Yeah.
It might be 6 years.
Yeah, I think I was in the hip hop scene. I've been in there for about 5-6 years. Yeah.
So man, so it's just crazy how you can connect with people in Omaha. Like you never know who you might run into. Who knows? You know, they always talk about 6 degrees of separation and Kevin Bacon.
It's 5 degrees in Omaha.
Yeah, man, it's so tight knit. But yeah, so I want to get into that art perspective from Justin and how he began on his journey through not only like hip hop, but just like you paint, you draw, like you do so many different things.
Yeah.
When did you first like begin to have an interest in art?
Well, I mean, aside from like being born and just always doing it and always being encouraged by my family to do it, I think I really took interest when I was I had this job. It was probably like 10 years ago. I had this job where it was constant, like 65 hours a day, working outside in the summer heat, and I was making a lot of money, but I started thinking, like, is the money like really that important? Because I couldn't see my friends, I wasn't going out, and even though I had the money, I was still broke all the time, and I was working so much, I couldn't afford time-wise to go pay my bills, and it was like, I think it was about my 22nd, no, it's probably like 23rd birthday. I just was like, I haven't done art in a while, so I told my mom I wanted some art supplies for my birthday, and she got me watercolor, like big watercolor paper and some watercolors, and I started doing that, and I was like, you know what, I'm like gonna quit my job and just do this all day. And I did, and I didn't have anything to fall back on. It was like probably the stupidest thing you can do in your adult life, like just quit your job with nothing. But I did, and eventually, like I stayed with it. I just kept painting. I didn't care, and somehow I managed to pay rent through it, to one way or another,
Yep.
And eventually, Arts for All just fell out of the sky and into my lap, like they were asking for guitar teachers, and I had been playing guitar for many years, and so I went, tried, I think I played Stairway to Heaven for Judy, the owner, and she was like, oh, you're great at guitar, let's get you teaching,
Yeah.
And so I did. I had never taught anything in my life. I didn't even know if I would like it, but I loved it. I loved teaching kids how to do art, and like that whole process of teaching kids like something that they can use later in life to be creative and express themselves. I was just like, man, there's something big to this, I'm going to stick with it.
Yep. I can understand that.
Yeah, and I kept doing art, and then through Arts for All, how I got into the hip-hop scene was one night I was hanging out.
Before we go there, so you've mentioned Arts for All. I've mentioned Arts for All.
Yeah.
Can you tell them what Arts for All is?
Arts for All is a nonprofit organization dedicated to teaching people of all ages with like really cost-friendly. I mean, they'll work with you even if you got dust in your wallet. They will somehow work with you to get you and your children in for classes. And they've been around for I think like 11 years now. It's probably close to 11 years. They've won numerous awards, and they're a fantastic nonprofit organization. Like they've always treated me good, and they teach like violin, piano, guitar, dance, visual art. They even do like videography sometimes.
I know my oldest some years back my wife had found some kind of deal, and she did ballet for like 6 or 8 weeks or something like that, like one day a week.
Yep, and they're really like affordable classes, like most places. If you go to get lessons, you're gonna pay like guitar lessons. Typically, I mean, it starts from like $30 up per lesson, and with Arts for All, it's just $10 a lesson. I think they may have even lowered it to $9 a lesson, which is like just unheard of, especially considering the teachers and their talent. It's just incredible.
Yeah. All right. So back to the introduction to hip hop from Arts for All. You were about to say.
Yeah. Okay. So after a meeting that Arts for All was holding, me and a couple teachers, we all decided let's go out, have a few drinks, have some fun, and we found out about this open mic that was happening at it's the Lookout Lounge now, but it was the Hideout at the time. And they were doing this open mic. We go down there, and everybody, like it was a guitar teacher, the grant writer at the time, and me. And we're all like, yeah, we'll all get signed up. She wanted to do stand-up comedy. He wanted to play guitar. And I was like, I got like some rap verses memorized. I think I'll try doing that. So we go down there, and they're like, hey, I'll go get the beer. Other one's like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. And so I sit down, and I'm just watching the show. And they come up behind me, and they're like, hey, just so you know, we didn't sign up, but we signed you up. And that was like the first time. That was like the first time I had ever been on stage, and I like fumbled through it. I forgot all the lyrics and everything. It was like nerve-wracking, and I just stuck with it. I was like, I'm going to redeem myself after this, and I kept going, met a lot of great people through the open mic scene, which like for any artist, I say if you're looking to get your stuff out there, go do an open mic for sure. You will run into the right people. There's different avenues. I met A met B, met C, met Donnell. You know, it was like a constant like jumping from person to person. And,
Yeah, man, and it's I mean, the hip hop is kind of fickle. It can be, at least sometimes, and you have your cliques and whatnot.
Yeah.
Overall, I feel like there's a lot of support for the scene for people who are in the scene. Mm-hmm. There might not be from the outside, community, because a lot of people are scared of hip hop.
Yeah, especially in Omaha.
Man, yeah, it's what is always crazy to me though, like people are like unaccepting of hip hop, like on the local level, but like if you go to a baseball game, dude, I went to a hockey game.
Yeah.
And they're playing hip hop music, like at intermission or whenever breaks are coming up, they're playing hip hop music. So that was one thing that I could never understand. Is like, how is it that it's so tough to get people to come out and support local hip hop shows, but then like in all these different all these different areas, they were just playing hip hop music, and like you got kid like. There was one. I went to an Omaha Beef game. I had season tickets last year, and there was this kid behind me. They were talking. It was one song. I don't even know who the artist is, but he was talking about whipping in the kitchen, and I was like, boy, what you know about whipping in the kitchen? Like he's like 8 years old, 10 years old, talking about whipping in the kitchen. I'm like, bruh, come on, man. Like that's not okay. Like you shouldn't even know this song, man.
Yeah.
So I always think that's funny with that type of thing, man. Baseball games, everybody is playing hip hop.
Yeah.
So I just don't get where the breakdown is. And maybe it's not just hip hop. Maybe it's just the music scene in general. 'Cause we've done a ton of different types of music shows, and sometimes it's just hard to get people out.
Yeah.
It's just how it goes. And again, it goes back to that competition with so many different things. I quoted you recently saying that live music can't compete with Netflix.
No, they can't.
I got that from him. That's where he's the one that said that to me in a conversation some years back.
Unfortunately, I just think it's a matter of, I don't know. I think artists, and I was guilty of it myself when I started. It was like, these people. I was always blaming it on the people, but I think a lot of it just has to deal with we just maybe as like the hip hop community and live music in general. Because a lot of people have figured it out, I've seen local bands pull huge shows, sell out shows, and I was part of a show once that sold out once.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think it's a matter of figuring out how do we all work to market these things correctly. That's the $1 million question. How do you get people out?
Yeah, and I feel like too, like with my past experience with like making or creating or organizing music shows, sometimes artists they see those big names like Jay-Z or whoever else that they look up to, and they're like, I want to be that person, but then again, they don't want to do the footwork to go out and hand out flyers or tell people about it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you look up to that person, they didn't start where they're at.
Right.
There was a lot of work before behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And that's what it takes to succeed, man. You got to be knocking on doors,
it's a lot of
telling
work.
everybody, it's not just about you being able to get up on stage and perform. There's millions of people who can perform and have talent.
Yeah.
There's so much talent out there. It's the actual work that you're putting in. It's a whole package thing. It's not just you're only tackling one part, one piece of it. When you're trying to get people out to a show, there's a whole world of marketing that you have to push behind it. You can't just do it by yourself either. You need a team of people, and sometimes, and I've seen it, you try to construct a team of people together who should be working as a collective, but then people start to butt heads stuff, and it kind of falls down and it falls apart. So man, that's kind of, there's so many different struggles that people don't think about. It's man, you can see why it's a business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because there's somebody at the top who knows what needs to be done. They've been through it. They've got the blueprint or whatever, and they say that this person needs to do this person needs to do this group needs to do that.
Yeah. When
you're coming into it, and you've just been rehearsing in your basement or whatever, if you didn't do the research, you don't know.
Yeah.
But now, the talk is in today's world of technology, it's like the easiest time to get like attention.
Yeah.
Like all you have to do is go and do like a search on the internet, man, and find out like how can I do this.
Yep.
And it's right there. Back in the day, it didn't used to be like that. So like, there's a huge advantage nowadays. But again, with that huge advantage, everybody's got it now.
Yeah.
So if you're searching for good music or whatever, there's a lot of stuff for you to sift through to get to the stuff that has that actual appeal that you're looking for.
Indeed. It's, I mean, and also like I think there's something to be said about playing to your strengths. Like with hip hop in general, like I enjoy doing hip hop and I enjoy making the music, but I was never really like when I got into it. I, like many other people, I think, got into it with the idea of, well, I'm just going to go up on stage and I'm going to do some shit and people will start recognizing me and it'll be cool. And it's like, I don't know, man, after you play like 10 shows where there's only 2 people in the crowd, it gets discouraging. And so eventually, I think I just kind of learned that, I'm not doing this right because I don't understand how to reach these people. And luckily for me, I do other stuff. I do other art and stuff like that, to where I have kind of learned how to start building up a little bit of a following using my art. The music thing, I don't know. I have no idea. No idea. I like making the music, but I sure as hell don't like promoting it. It's a pain. I'm not good at it.
And after we did that concert to benefit Arts for All and all that stuff, like that was a huge eye opener for me. I'm like, okay, so we have music, like Justin and like 2 other people were doing a live painting, and the deal was we were going to auction off the painting, and all the proceeds would go to Arts for All. So we had music, we had live art, and we had a good cause to try to support. And we were at Sumter Amphitheater in Papillion, and like seats, just actual seats, they have like 300 seats. We had like 55 people who paid for a ticket to come through. They have 300 seats. And then like they also have like some grounds area like behind the seats, just where people can lay out blankets and stuff and sit down. So I was like, man,
and that's what, man? Like that was with cross promotion. Arts for All. I know we handed out flyers to everybody. Like
we had a commercial on the radio. We had a YouTube video done by RG Media that we were
on the news. We were on the Morning Blend for that, weren't we? Wasn't it for that event?
Maybe.
I know that. Never mind. That was the 10th anniversary, which was the same. It was the same case, though. Same thing, like maybe 30 people showed up.
Yeah, over here at the waiting room. By the way, we're over in Benson at Hardee's. So is it straight up Hardee's now? No
I
aromas?
think so. Yeah, I thought it was aromas.
I was wondering because when I googled aromas in Benson, and it popped up Hardee's, and I was like, oh, okay.
I was looking for aromas. I was like, I hope I'm at the right place.
Right. So that's a change that I didn't know happened. But yeah, man, it's so hard to like get people out there. So I can only imagine how much money. I mean, when you're looking at an event like the one that we did at Sumter, it was like $500 just for event insurance. Then you have to pay for the promotion. We have a few sponsors and stuff, like 10th Planet, our dojo. They sponsored some of it. Crown Enterprises, my friend who's an electrician, they sponsor some of it. So we had some help, but man, it was tough, man. Like you put in all that work and like your passion into it, and then to get the turnout that we got, it was just, and it's not like it wasn't just hip hop. Like I always would say that we don't do hip hop shows, we do music shows, because I want music that people, different people can listen to, and like. Maybe you are a fan of one artist and you come to check them out and you hear something that you wouldn't have listened to necessarily in any other area, and you hear it and you're like, oh man, I like that too, so you become a fan of somebody else. So I was just like, there's something that I'm missing, and I would do Google research and like see what I can do to make an event, and I would send press releases and all this stuff, and I'm like, people would always say it's because we only had local artists. And I'm like, how does that make sense? Why do we need a national act to bring people in? Like, why wouldn't people support all the talent that we have in the Omaha area? So that's why I do what I do, man. Because I'm like, man, I want to push these people who like people aren't giving any attention to, because I've been to these shows and like been in the crowd and been on the stages with some of the artists and stuff, and like I know that Omaha has talent. Like there's so much talent that people need to tap into, man. Like and it just it boggles my mind sometimes. You know? Even at one point I asked people, okay, hey, what does it take to get, like what would make you want to come out to an event, because I was trying to add those things. I was trying to incorporate the feedback.
Yeah.
And I did those things, and the same people who brought up those points of feedback, they didn't even show up.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
what do you do?
Yeah.
What
So
do you do?
you know, I don't know how you win.
It's frustrating.
Yeah, man. So I stepped back from the music scene because I'm like, man, doing the music scene and these vendor events and not getting the foot traffic at either one the way that I want. Like I just need to step back and focus on the vendor events for now. Maybe the music thing can come back around at some point, but like you're focusing on the other art.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
And speaking of the art too, man, I want to bring it up because it's been a year. Because this last week it's been popping up as a reminder on Facebook.
Oh yeah, the
30-day challenge.
Your daughters are popping up on my feed now.
Yeah, man. So Pensive was doing a 30-day challenge for himself last year.
Yeah.
Just creating a new drawing every day for 30 days. And my daughter, my oldest, she likes to draw and create art as well. And she saw, the 30-day challenge, because I would show her the pictures, and she ended up drawing a picture, and Justin actually challenged her to do the 30-day challenge, and she did it. She created 30 days.
She went all the way through,
Yeah, man. She was watching videos on YouTube and stuff, and just drawing it, following the instructions of what they were saying to do and stuff. So it was a really proud moment for me, and I was thankful and grateful that you challenged her.
Did she keep drawing after that?
She always draws, man. It's not like always, like the 30-day challenge, but she consistently does different things, man. So she stays with it, and like with her participating at our vendor events, she's always like, making jewelry. She's being creative some way. She's been writing a little bit and stuff because there was some competition through school that she could enter a piece for, so she did that. She thinks that she's going to have a pretty good chance of winning. So I don't know. We haven't heard anything back yet, but she's still been playing viola with the Omaha Area Youth Orchestra. They just did their last performance a couple weeks ago over at Iowa Western.
So Jill of all trades.
Yeah, man. Yeah, she stays busy. She's at the dojo. She's competing next week in a tournament. So she is very. I want her to understand. One thing about it is like you can't just say that you want something. Like you have to actually put in work to get it.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
She does it like. She told me that she would start doing more classes to prepare for the tournament. We haven't had a chance yet because of sickness and whatever else. They've been volunteering every Friday night, so she hasn't had a chance to get in more classes. But she's determined, and she has it on. Most of the time, she has it from within, where she can just drive herself to do whatever. Like we don't have to stay on. We had to stay on her a little bit about viola, but just other stuff. She's kind of on it herself, so she's self-motivated, so that's all right by me, man. So but I definitely was glad that those reminders were popping up this week, man. I was like, man, that's perfect. I already asked about the interview, and now all of a sudden I didn't even know it was a year. But I always say everything is connected, man. Like there's so much that's connected, and I think that was meant to be for us to have the interview there. So guitar playing, art, drawing, things like that. So now you've transitioned, or you've begun to transition into the world of tattooing. So you were going to tell me how that started out before I wanted you to hold it for the interview portion so we could say it here. So how did that happen?
Well, actually, I think a lot of it started with that 30-day challenge, because I was drawing it every day. And I realized that after like about day 20 or something, it became like a reinforced habit to where it was like, like I would miss a day or two and I started feeling like empty inside, and so I was like, I gotta draw. Like I would be hanging out with friends, I would just leave them and come and do like do a drawing or something. And then I was like going through a lot of personal stuff, and so I was doing a lot of journaling at the time, and I started thinking, you know, like what can I do with my life, I guess? Like, what can I do to do something to be happy and obviously get my sustenance from it, money, and
right.
you know. And I started thinking, like, why not be a tattoo artist? You know, like, people have always asked me, have you ever done tattoo? Have you ever thought about it? And I always told them, like, no, like, that's, I couldn't do that. I couldn't draw for other people. I couldn't do this. I always had an excuse of why I couldn't do it. And finally, I just was like, you know what? I'm tired of this bullshit. I'm tired of it. And so I decided I'm gonna do it. So I hit up my friend Kelly, who is a tattoo artist, and she had just moved back from Florida. It was like you said, everything's connected. So she had just moved back, and I hit her up and I was like, hey, so what do I do to get into this world? You know, can you give me some pointers? What do I need to look out for? And I told her, I was like, look, I just want to get an apprenticeship with somebody that is awesome, because I am willing to go overseas if I have to learn how to do this. Like, I really am. I'm going to save and do it. And she was like, she took that as a real sign of commitment to it. And she was like, let's do it. You know, let's do an apprenticeship. She had done an apprenticeship for somebody, or a mentor. I guess she had been a mentor for someone while she was in Florida. And so she kind of knew what it entailed. And we started doing the apprenticeship in July after she tattooed me, and I'd come around the shop every other day. You know, I started to get familiar with the owner of the shop, which is the Needle Bar on 50th and Dodge. I started, you know, just coming in every day and getting to know everybody. And she started showing me how to clean, and she started talking to me about technique, and showing me different things, different spots on the body, of why this is hard, and, you know, telling me everything is like, it's one thing to tell somebody how to do something, but when you actually sit down to do it, it's it's really hard. Tattooing is difficult, but I would definitely say, oh no. Weird.
Sorry about that. I don't know what just happened. Hey, what's up, Chris? I must have just lost the feed for a second.
Hey, Chris.
So, Strawstone was here.
As far as the tattooing thing goes, I guess it's just been the hardest, most challenging thing I've ever done with my art career, hands down, the hardest thing. I've never experienced anything so difficult, emotionally challenging, energetically challenging, but I'm hoping that eventually it'll pay off, because I think that I got some decent ideas for what I want to do with my tattoo career. And so,
well, if it's anything like the art that I've seen. And real quick, C Blue is he instructs how to play the guitar as well.
Oh, another
Chris,
guitar teacher. Yeah, cool, man.
Yeah, man, if it's anything like the art that I've seen you do, man, like I always look at your stuff and I always say that like I can usually spot out a pensive. I just call it a pensive because that's what it is. Like when you're scrolling down your Instagram or your Facebook timeline, and like you see art, and there's a few different artists that I follow, like Joe Nicholson, and man, there's another person too. But like you scroll down and you see art, and all of a sudden you're like, oh man, that's a pensive. I don't even have to see who that is. I know it's a pensive, and I look and I'm like, yep, see. Yeah. There's a certain, I don't know if it's like the shading or like what it is that you do, like angles that you're using. Yeah. But it's very distinct when I see it, and I'm just like, and not only that, but like, I it's so different from anything else. Like it's very unique. Yeah. So I feel like I can always spot a pensive.
It's for an artist, for every artist. I think maybe not just art though. I think it translates into everything. Probably your entrepreneurship, stuff like that. It's you. The more you practice it, the more you do it. I think you start by stealing from other people, stealing ideas from other people. You may even start out drawing exactly what they're doing, or like someone starts a soap business, so you decide to start a soap business with the same exact smells and everything. But then through the process, you make mistakes and you fail constantly. And those failures are like the most important part of it. They're the most painful and difficult stuff. Like I'm relearning it over and over with tattooing. Every time I do something that's just terrible, I'm like, oh, this is awful. But once I get rid of all those emotions and I can look back and I can say, okay, well, here's what went wrong. Boom. That's when I'm learning something. You know, I don't learn from doing the good stuff.
Yes.
And so eventually you just like, you begin to develop a voice, you know, like your own voice through that process. Like, I always tell people, you know, if you really want to get good at something, just do what that guy's doing. Steal it. Completely steal his idea. Do everything that he does, because it's never going to be the same. And you're probably going to fail tremendously at it. But in the process, you will develop your own style, for sure.
And I think that's great advice. So I have like a business group on Facebook that I try to make a video at least 2 to 3 times a week, just about random stuff, whatever's on my mind. And one of the things that I often talk about is failure, or I always put it in quotations because it's not, like, I don't feel like a failure is like a failure. Like I don't perceive it as being a failure. Like
I'd say it's more learning.
Yeah, it's an opportunity for improvement. Yeah, that's what. So you know, I work at Ameritrade full time, and that's what we talk about when coaching goes out and things like that. Yeah. You notice someone made an error when you send it over. You're not like, hey, you failed. Like this is an opportunity for improvement. This is a coaching moment. Yeah. Like, yes, let's get past it. Let's learn from it. Yeah. Like, and oftentimes what I refer to one of the moments that I had when Gooseneck and I did an event at the Croc Center, our first event together. We didn't communicate very well, and we went way over. Well, we didn't create a budget, so we ended up losing like a couple $1,000 like on each end, because we didn't communicate and create a budget from the beginning, and we thought that the event would get a bigger turnout than we did. So for me, like that day, I was like, oh man, I retire already. Like I'm done. Like I had to tell my wife we had to take money out of like our personal account to put into the business account to pay for this stuff, and I was just like, bro, I can't do this again. So I thought I was done, but then later that night, like Zach, Tammy, and Flips, we all went out to, like, our family. I went out to eat at like Applebee's. We talked about it. We got all that bad juju out, man. And like later that night, I was already thinking about a new way to get back on it and how can I improve on the next time out. So that was one thing I said. I know that I'm not gonna just like throw money or allow money to be thrown out the window. It's got to be used smartly, especially when you're doing like the advertising and stuff like that. So that was a huge opportunity for improvement for me, man. I was like, okay, and I always remember that. I always will. So that's what it is.
That's where you learn, because when everything goes the way you want it to go, you don't learn much. You're just like, that's what was supposed to happen. Yeah. But then, like, I mean, translating into the world of tattooing, you can very easily, like mess up a line, and suddenly the whole thing falls apart, and you're just this emotional wreck. You're like, oh my god, I messed this person up so bad, or I messed this event up so bad. What the hell is wrong? You want to point at everybody else. Their skin was, everything's wrong. And then eventually, like, I think you learn from letting that go. First, like, that's the first learning process, is like, how do you let that go? Like, what am I going to do? Quit? Like, I'm in this far. I put this much money into it. I bought all this,
I'm committed.
And so it's like, all right, so how can I make sure that next time I do this, I do it right? I execute the way I was supposed to, or I execute even better. I execute in a way that allows that mistake to become more of a trademark, or more of like my thing, Like, how do I work with this mistake?
And then from that, you create a process or a routine, like a game plan that okay, no matter what what design you're going to end up doing for someone, like you still have those basic principles set.
Exactly.
Like, okay, I need to do this step first, and then I need to do this step. So like you create that, and that's what those opportunities create. So and I'm all for that, man. Like, that's why I love doing this, man, because I'm talking to people who are like-minded individuals who understand, especially when you have a passion for something, and you're not just gonna like fold and give up on it, man. That's what it's about. Like you got to keep going. It's not about like at the dojo, they tell the kids when they coach them, like you don't want to get bad habits, because in certain like scenarios you can win with bad habits. And like just because you win, you think you're doing things right. But then when you go against a better opponent,
they're going to exploit that.
If you're making those same mistakes or using those bad habits, it's not going to work on those guys. If they're more technical, if they've got more experience, so you got to get that down.
I mean, even with guitar too. Guitar's the same thing, where you might learn how to play something really technical and hard that's way out of your skill level by cheating, doing different things with your fingers that you're not supposed to be doing. And you keep reinforcing those bad habits every time you play it. You keep reinforcing it. So then when it comes time to actually learning something that's, like of a more advanced skill set or something, you're going to have to go all the way back to step one and relearn the fundamentals, Like that's the plus side to doing my apprenticeship, is that right now I'm working on the fundamentals, and of course it's a little boring sometimes, like doing simple designs. I want to go crazy, I want to do all this crazy stuff, but it's like I have
Patience.
I have to step back and just be happy with one line at a time. I make one line and I say, good job, that was good, that was good. Oops, it's like constant, it's like that in everything. That's why I try to talk when I'm talking to other artists or other just people in general. It's a human thing, where it's like, if it's entrepreneurship, marketing, if it's starting your own business, if it's building a hot rod, if anything, it's like you have the worst enemy you possibly have is the one that's standing in your way, and that's yourself. And you have to get out of your own way, like it's really
put your swallow your pride, leave all that at the door, and oftentimes we're our biggest critics, so and then, or maybe we're like, just, I try to encourage people not to be scared. Like, I made a video recently talking about, what are you scared of? Like, why are we so scared as adults to try new things? Because when you were a baby, you didn't know that you couldn't crawl or you couldn't walk or talk. Like, you tried it, and you kept trying it until you got it. So why, as an adult, do we just only continue to do the things that we know? Why not challenge yourself to do more? Like, you're built to do more. You're stronger than you give yourself credit for being. Like, try new things, man. Challenge yourself. And it's hard. It's easier said than done. But sometimes, like, stepping out of your comfort zone, that's like when you can really see how good you can be, when you challenge yourself to do something that you've never done before. Like, for me, like, I'm on this whole track of like being better every day. Like, jiu-jitsu has played a big part. Like, it's not just about jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu teaches you about life and about that patience and about, it just ties into so many different things. Like, I'm so much, like, I've always been a happy person, but this last year and a half or so that I've been doing jiu-jitsu, like, that's elevated so much, just because it makes you take a step back and look at things. Like, you have to slow down. You can't just rush through jiu-jitsu, man. Because
fundamentals, how to throw a punch, how to stand on one foot.
You gotta start from square one. You can't get to Z by skipping like letters in between, from A to whatever. Like, you can't go A, B, Z. Like, it doesn't work like that. So fundamentals.
And also something that you said earlier was the word you said, comfort zone. I was thinking in my head while you were saying that, like, comfort, because I recently was just talking with a friend who started picking up writing again. She's a fantastic writer, And I told her, like, I really believe, they say that sleep is the cousin of death, but I think that comfort is the cousin of death. Like, once you get comfortable and you get settled in, you become complacent, and eventually that's all going to come crumbling around, you know. It's going to be crumbling down, and, you know, you have to step outside that.
Think of it like a relationship. So, like, when you're single, like, you're going to the gym and, like, eating right or whatever, trying to look all good. And then you settle down, you find that one, you get married or whatever. And not everybody, I'm just generalizing, of course.
Yeah.
But then you get married, and then all of a sudden you start just, like, making excuses not to go to the gym. You're eating out a little more, just whatever it is. Then before you know it, like, you're gaining some pounds, and you're like,
too
man,
tired.
what happened? What happened? I got comfortable.
You got
like,
comfortable.
you know, I fell in love with someone who loves me for who I am. I don't have to do those superficial things that I was doing before to try to attract the attention or whatever.
Right.
So, yeah, man, it's all about comfort, man.
Yeah.
Be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And again, that's jujitsu. Like, you have to learn to get comfortable being uncomfortable. You have somebody sitting on your chest and you can't breathe. And that's something that I struggle with right now. Like, even if
anybody would struggle.
Yeah, man. You just gotta get used to it. We were talking about it the other day, though. It's a whole mental thing. Like, I can't tap to you because you're sitting on my chest and I can't breathe.
Yeah.
You need to be submitting me, like putting me in some kind of a position that I can't escape from. And sometimes you break. Like, it takes a while to get used to.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, you panic. You're like, you're claustrophobic or whatever it is, and you tap.
Yeah.
I did that a few weeks back, man. Like, a dude was on top, and I just couldn't get out, and I tapped, and I was like, man, come on, let's do it again, because, you know, I got to get used to this. Like, let's start from the same position, man. Like, just do whatever. So, you got to be uncomfortable, man. For true growth, you got to get uncomfortable.
I like that.
Yeah, man, that's pretty much all I have. Anything else you want to talk about before we go?
No, not really. I mean, I do have, to add on to the comfort thing real quick, I've always been like, I can't always say that I've always been a big practitioner of meditation, but I do practice it from time to time, and I got to do a recent program that Inspirations of Water, I believe the program is called. They put on where they allowed artists to come in and float at these sensory deprivation tanks for 3 days or 3 times, and that taught me a lot in the way of just like, you know, it was a weird feeling laying there and you're like in pitch black, no sound because your head's underwater or your ears are underwater, and like, you know, you really learn to be comfortable with yourself in those moments, and the anxiety maybe boils up or something like that, and it's in a way it is like mental martial arts, you know, and it translates all through life, like that kind of thing. It's just stepping out of your comfort zone, crazy important. So that's it.
So if you get the opportunity to do it, do it. If somebody asks you to do something that you're not used to, maybe don't just automatically say no. Like, take a second and give it some thought to see, like, you know, why am I saying no? What is the reason? Is it because I'm scared, or is it just like, you know? And still, I feel like that's always an ongoing thing. Like, no matter how good I feel like I'm doing, I could always be better. Like, there's always room. Like, you're never gonna be perfect. So I always try to say, don't let the fear of not being perfect stop you from trying to be perfect. Like, you know,
I like that.
Just work hard. Like, you still got to go for it, man. So, where can they find your art, or like, where can they find you if they want to follow you and like start checking out some of the things that you're doing?
The best thing is probably Instagram. I post everything on Instagram. Usually, I try to like stay updating content. You know about content.
Yeah. I
try. I don't always succeed. That is Pensive Poetry 1. It's all one word. You spell one, so PENSIVE POETRYONE. You can follow me there. Otherwise, come and get a tattoo at the Needle Bar. It's on 50th and Dodge.
There you go.
Yep.
Man, thank you so much for like agreeing to do this, man. It's been a pleasure. Every week I'm trying to bring a new guest, artists, small business owners, nonprofit organizations, just people out in the community, like, who are doing positive things and going after things that they love. That's what it's about. I'm trying to help spotlight those individuals and those organizations, just because I feel like, you know, we need help sometimes, and I'm all about community and trying to help others with, you know, I always say, even if I'm directly successful. Oh, man. Are we back? Oh, sorry, it keeps cutting out. I was going to say, even if I'm not directly successful from the things that I am doing, if I can help someone else in their path to success, ultimately I am successful because I helped that person. You know, I'm not going to, you know, there's no way I can take credit for that because they're still putting in the work. But if I just had a hand in helping them out, I'm successful, because that's what it's about. It's about helping other people and making the world like a better place. I really believe in positivity. There's so much negativity out there nowadays, and I just want to spread love, joy, happiness. Like, as I end every show, I'll say, laugh, smile. If you can help someone else laugh or smile, do that. That's what it's about. Pensive, small guy. Have a wonderful day. Peace out.
Have a good one, y'all.
Thanks for tuning in, y'all.